On this episode of Doin the Most, we're going to be making homemade yogurt, specifically Icelandic style yogurt or Skyr. Our ingredients are a gallon of milk, 7 drops of liquid rennet, a container of plain yogurt from the store, and a 1/4 cup of non-chlorinated water. We just use bottled water. You'll also need a digital thermometer or a candy thermometer, cheesecloth, and a towel, and a large pot. The difference between Skyr or Icelandic style yogurt, Greek yogurt, and normal plain American yogurt is that it doesn't have whey. So you'll get to see later we'll drain the whey out of the yogurt curd. Additionally, the consistency and flavor of the yogurt you make will depend a lot on what kind of store-bought yogurt you get. We chose Siggy's, the Icelandic yogurt. It's pretty thick and creamy. It's not super tangy. It's my favorite store-bought yogurt. It has a really high protein content. Your first step is to heat your milk over medium-high heat to between 185 degrees and 190 degrees. You'll want to be stirring pretty regularly to make sure it doesn't scald, but it'll take between 20 minutes and half an hour, no less than 15 minutes to come up to temperature. So just keep stirring regularly and checking the temperature. We have the candy thermometer here to give us kind of a general guide of where the temperature was. Stir, stir, stir. Once your milk comes up to temperature between 185 and 190 degrees, you need to allow it to cool to 110 degrees. When you're purchasing your yogurt, make sure that you get a yogurt that has live active cultures on it. When you look at the ingredients, it should have some Latin words like lactobacillus on it and probably a few others. There are a few store-bought yogurts, not very many, but there are some that don't actually have live cultures in it that use other thickening agents, and that won't work to make your homemade yogurt. At this point, you'll mix a cup of your cooled milk, your cooled to 110 degrees milk, with your container of yogurt, separately from the entire mixture. We are scooping the yogurt out, and we'll get a cup to add to it and stir it up thoroughly. If you're looking for animal rennet or liquid rennet and you can't find it at the store, you can find it online at the link in our description. Stir, stir, stir. Combine your cooled milk with your yogurt. Stir, stir, stir. Once your cooled milk and yogurt are thoroughly combined, add that combination back to your milk. Now add 7 drops of liquid rennet to your warm, unchlorinated water and whisk it up to make sure that it's thoroughly combined. And then you'll need to add your rennet and your water into your milk mixture as quickly as possible. So combine your water, rennet, and milk, stir it up, and cover with your towel and let sit overnight or 12 hours in a warm, well-insulated place. You don't want it to get too cool. You don't really want it to be disturbed. We chose to use our oven. We weren't going to be cooking anything overnight. You can also use a cooler or put it in the cupboard. You just want it to be relatively undisturbed and warm. So at this point, your curd should have separated from your whey, and you want to scoop out the curd into your cheesecloth and strainer, trying to keep it as intact as possible. I wasn't super successful at that, but it ended up being just fine. So scoop your curd out into your cheesecloth. We have cheesecloth inside of a colander sitting over a bowl. I ended up pouring. You're not technically supposed to do that because it'll break your curd, but it wasn't the end of the world. And then let it drain, and it will take quite a while to drain. I think ours, we ended up letting it strain overnight to really get as much of the whey out as possible. We ended up with 2 quarts of whey at the end of it, which you can use in soup or to ferment things. There's lots of different uses for whey, and we'll probably have some videos about that in the future. Once you've separated the yogurt curd from the whey, I decided to blend ours up a little bit in our stand mixer. You could skip this step if you wanted to, but ours had an inconsistent texture that I wanted to try to homogenize a little bit. You could do this with a hand mixer, or you could skip it, but this just kind of redistributed some of the remaining whey in the yogurt. And that's the other thing, is you can drain it as much or as little as you'd like. I prefer a really thick, creamy yogurt. It'll be more liquidy the less you strain it. Mix it up, and as you can see, the texture really comes together really nicely. You can choose to use whatever kind of milk you'd like. We used whole milk, full fat milk, which will give you a full fat yogurt, but you could use 1%, 2% skim milk. Whatever milk you choose to use will determine the fat content of your yogurt. We ended up with about 2 quarts of yogurt from our gallon of milk, so keep that in mind. You'll get about half a gallon, and which I think is plenty. Half a gallon of yogurt is a lot. And it will last for quite a while. You can add any kind of flavoring ingredients that you want, spices, sugar, fruit. Make it your own. And that is how we make homemade yogurt. Thank you for stopping by and watching. Please check out our Instagram at Doin the Most OK, or visit our website at dointhemost.org and subscribe. Thanks.